Two Wounded Hearts Loving by Faith, the Eun-woo story. Introduction. Love is rarely a straight path. Sometimes it is born out of joy, but most times it is forged in the quiet ruins of brokenness. The story of Eun-woo and the love he discovered is not one wrapped in glittering perfection. It is a journey of two wounded souls who, against all odds, found the courage to love not by sight, not by certainty, but by faith. This is not merely a tale about romance. It is about scars, second chances, and the kind of healing that only love, patient and steadfast, can bring. Cha Eun-woo had everything the world thought defined success. His career was soaring, his image was immaculate, and his smile could disarm the coldest room. But behind the flawless facade, his heart carried wounds unseen by most. Years before his rise, Eun-woo had faced rejection that cut deeper than he admitted to anyone. The people he trusted had betrayed his vulnerability, leaving him with an ache that no applause could silence. He learned to hide pain behind discipline, to mask heartbreak with perfectionism. He often told himself, if I stay busy enough, I won't feel it. But late at night, when the world slept, the silence returned. And in that silence, the emptiness grew. Life has a strange way of weaving brokenness together. Eun-woo's turning point began the day he met her, an ordinary woman whose eyes told stories of her own silent battles. She wasn't dazzling the way fame defines beauty, but there was something raw, unfiltered, and honest in her. Her laughter carried cracks of pain. Her smile held the heaviness of loss. She, too, had loved before and lost painfully. If Eun-woo had mastered the art of hiding pain behind perfection, she had mastered the opposite. Living openly with scars, not trying to erase them, but carrying them like weathered badges. They were two opposites, he, polished and guarded. She, vulnerable and unrefined. And yet, when their worlds collided, there was recognition. Like two weary travelers finding shelter in each other's shadow. Their connection didn't spark with romance at first. It began with long, raw conversations. She spoke of betrayal she had faced, of nights she prayed but received silence, of the pieces of herself she thought no one could ever want again. For the first time, Eun-woo listened not as a performer, but as a wounded man who knew the sting of betrayal. He didn't try to fix her pain. He simply listened, and in that listening, he realized he wasn't alone. And when Eun-woo opened up, it was hesitant at first, like testing the waters. But she didn't flinch at his confessions. Instead, she looked at him with eyes that said, I understand. You're still worthy of love. This mutual acknowledgement was their foundation. Their love didn't grow out of fairy tale certainty. If anything, it was filled with fears. Both of them doubted whether their hearts could trust again. Both questioned if wounds as deep could allow love to bloom. But they chose something rare. They chose to love by faith. Faith that scars don't make you unlovable. Faith that broken pieces can still form something beautiful. Faith that tomorrow, though uncertain, could hold healing if they held on to each other. Eun-woo once told her, I don't know where this road will lead. I can't promise perfection, but I promise faith. Faith in us, even when it's hard. Those words weren't glamorous, but they were real. No love story is without trials. For them, the weight of their past often resurfaced. There were nights when she doubted if she was enough for him, and moments when he feared losing her the way he lost before. Sometimes their wounds clashed. Arguments flared not from hatred, but from unhealed fears. Yet each time they found themselves returning, not because it was easy, but because their faith was stronger than their fear. In moments of weakness, they leaned on prayer. They spoke words of reassurance even when their emotions wavered. Slowly, the wounds that once defined them began to soften into scars that no longer bled. Healing didn't come in grand gestures. It was in the small, ordinary moments. The way she brewed tea for him when exhaustion weighed him down. The way he held her hand in silence when her memories overwhelmed her. The way they laughed together over mundane things, realizing joy was still possible. One evening, while watching the sunset, she whispered, Do you ever wonder why God brought us together? Eun-woo smiled softly, because maybe he knew we'd only heal if we healed together. Their love was never about erasing the past. Instead, it was about redeeming it. The betrayal, the losses, the nights of loneliness, they didn't vanish. But those same wounds became the soil where trust, compassion, and faith grew. They discovered that love built on faith wasn't fragile. It was strong enough to endure storms because it wasn't based on feelings alone. It was a daily choice, a deliberate act of courage. Over time, their story began to inspire those around them. Friends noticed how Un-woo's once guarded heart had softened, how laughter returned to his eyes. People saw how she carried herself with newfound strength, no longer defined by loss but by love. Their story became a quiet testament that wounded hearts aren't disqualified from love. In fact, they often carry the deepest capacity to love because they understand the weight of pain. The Un-woo story is not about perfect romance. It is about faith-driven love between two broken people who dare to believe they could be whole together. Their journey teaches us that sometimes the most powerful love stories are not written in fireworks, but in whispered prayers, tear-stained nights, and the unwavering choice to love when fear tells you not to. Two wounded hearts, scarred but still beating, found each other, and with faith as their compass, they proved that love, real love, can rise from the ruins and turn brokenness into beauty. For both Un-woo and her, trust was not an easy gift. Their wounds had made them cautious. Every step forward felt like walking barefoot on sharp stones, hopeful yet painful. There were days when she would pull away suddenly, as if afraid that his affection would vanish just as quickly as it appeared. And Un-woo, with all his fame and the demands of his world, worried that one misstep could crush the fragile bond they had. But love built on faith grows slowly, layer upon layer. Instead of demanding trust immediately, Un-woo offered consistency. He called when he said he would. He showed up, not with grand gestures, but with small, steady acts of presence. She, in turn, began to lower her walls bit by bit, realizing that not every promise had to end in disappointment, the way of the past. At times, old memories came back like storms. She would remember the betrayal that once shattered her, and the fear in her eyes would resurface. Un-woo, too, wrestled with his silent battles, those nights of rejection and the crushing weight of expectations he carried since youth. One evening, as they sat on a park bench, she broke down. "Sometimes I wonder," she whispered, "if I'm too broken to love fully again." Un-woo's hand tightened around hers. His own eyes grew damp because he had asked himself the same question countless times. "You're not too broken," he said quietly. "You're just human. And maybe faith isn't about being whole before we love. It's about believing love can make us whole as we go." That night, they walked home slowly, but with a deeper bond. Faith is not a one-time act. It's a daily decision. For Un-woo and her, this meant waking each day and choosing to believe in tomorrow, even when the day felt heavy. They learned to speak words of life into one another. When she doubted her worth, he reminded her of her strength. When he felt crushed by the weight of perfection, she reminded him that being loved required no performance. When both felt fragile, they prayed together, asking for the courage to continue. Their love grew not because they were fearless, but because they were faithful. One of the greatest surprises for them was how healing came not through dramatic declarations, but through simple, everyday moments. It was in the mornings when she brought him coffee, while he reviewed scripts. It was in the evenings when he walked her home after long, tiring days. It was in the small laughter they shared over inside jokes that no one else would understand. Faith carried them through storms, but ordinary love watered their days. There came a season when doubts hit them harder than before. Un-woo's career kept pulling him into the spotlight, and she feared being left behind, just another shadow in his glamorous world. He, on the other hand, feared that the wounds of her past would one day convince her to walk away. Instead of hiding these fears, they brought them to light. One night, under a quiet sky, she asked, "What if one day we can't hold on anymore?" Un-woo looked at her steadily and replied, "Then we'll hold on tighter today." Faith doesn't erase fear. It just makes us stronger than it. Transformation through love. Over time, their wounds didn't disappear, but they no longer defined them. Un-woo's guarded heart softened. Her laughter returned more easily. Together, they discovered that scars are not signs of weakness. They are reminders of survival. And the greatest gift they gave each other was not perfection, but presence. He didn't need her to be flawless. She didn't need him to be invincible. What they needed was each other's faith, the steady belief that even when life shook them, love would not let go. Their story became something more than romance. It became proof that love doesn't have to start with wholeness. It can begin in brokenness and still thrive. Wounded love, when rooted in faith, is not fragile. It is resilient. It knows how to survive storms because it has weathered them before. It knows how to cherish joy because it has tasted sorrow. And Eun-woo's love story with her became a quiet testimony for others, that even when hearts are shattered, they can still beat in rhythm with hope again. Final reflection. Two wounded hearts, carrying scars the world couldn't see, chose to love by faith, not because it was easy, but because it was worth it. They prove that love is not reserved for the unbroken. It belongs to those brave enough to believe that healing is possible, that faith can rebuild what pain tried to destroy, and that even in the ruins of